Dating and Relationships Lessons Learned by the Netflix series called Baby Reindeer. And spoiler alert, I'm going to share some inside info. So if you haven't seen it, you may want to go watch it and come back to watching this video. Now, I want to share with everybody, it is a very intense, true life story about a struggling comedian bartender who begins to become stalked by a woman. And basically, what this represents is all of his bad choices in this experience. And we learn later about the significance of these choices. And I want to share with you, everyone, this series affected me on a deep level because once I learned about the deep pain he experienced and his poor choices, it began to make sense to me. I was actually, for the first 3 episodes, I'm like, I'm done with this. This is too intense. By the time I got to the 4th episode, and just for everyone, they are only about 35, 40 minutes long, and there's only 7 of them. But by the time I got to the 4th episode, I'm like, all of this makes sense. And I really took to heart because I look at my own poor choices. And when we get to the root, most of us human beings have experienced some deep pain in our lives, and it represents the foundation of how we explore our life in this world. And here's a man and a woman who both just wanted to be liked. And yet when you learn about the deep pain, we, the audience, can empathize with their experience. So as this relates to those of us in the dating, mating, and relating marketplace, please forgive me, I am reading notes. We all have either a major or micro traumas that we've experienced that come to that really address how we make choices as an adult. And while society expects everybody to be disciplined, the reason why we're called humans is because we're not perfect beings. And here's a list of what I'll share with respect to my own experience. I'm going to share the story really quickly now, the way I observed it, and then I'm going to share my own experience of why this affected me. So this is the story, as I said, about a comedian who's a bartender, and he meets this woman, and we eventually learn that she's a stalker. And he doesn't put a stop to it right away. So the minute he learns she's a stalker, she comes to his bar every day and hangs out the entire day. And she laughs at his jokes. She's making small talk with him. And so when he does some research on her, he finds out he's a stalker. And rather than doing something about it, he continues with this relationship with this woman. Now, we learn that later in the show, we learned that she had significant trauma in her childhood that caused her to be this way. Now, we can all relate to this to some degree. Not that all of us turn into a stalker or make poor choices. Well, let me reframe that. I think we all make a lot of poor choices. Oftentimes, there's a deep wound in our childhood. This is one of the reasons why I'm such an advocate for everyone to do inner work. And I wrote a book to get you started. It's called What the Heck is Self-Love Anyway? A Journey of Personal Development, Self-Help, and Spiritual Work. There's a link below to get a copy of my book. Not that my book is the answer to this, but I believe that when human beings do deep inner work to heal major traumas in their life or micro traumas in their life, they don't find themselves making poor choices, or even in this particular case, he finds himself attracted to the attention she gives him because, folks, one of everyone's 6 basic human needs are, if you're not familiar with 6 basic human needs, someone put it in the chat box or put it in the comments. I want you to Google this, but 6 basic human needs. The first, and this is no particular order, is certainty, which relates to safety. We need variety because life, it'd be boring if it's the same thing, if it's Groundhog Day, same day over and over again. We need love and connection. We all are thirsty for love and connection. We need to feel significant. And that's kind of the big part of this story we learn later, is his deep need for significance. We have a need for growth to grow beyond our limitations. And lastly, we do have a need for contribution, making a difference in the world. And my hope is all of you are making a difference to those people in your life or to the people in your world. You're making a difference. You are contributing to others beyond yourself. So as we get into the series, we learn that he has a good relationship with a woman, but he sabotages it. And we learn later the secret why this happened. He sabotaged a really good relationship, but we learn that this was due to a trauma. He also begins a fearful relationship with a transgendered woman and this woman is very in her sovereignty. She genuinely loves herself. So at first she's attracted to him because she thought he was funny and had something to contribute to her. We later learned that he's so confused about his sexuality that he's hot and cold with her. Because as we go deeper into the story, we learn that he was sexually assaulted by a colleague of his. And he kept going back for more because, again, it triggered his need for significance. It triggered his need for loving connection. And so this happened, by the way, the assault happened, I believe, 4 years earlier in his life, but it sabotaged his good relationship. And then he started to be so confused in his sexuality because of this assault that he started to have, relationships with both men and women. And then when he found a woman who happens to be transgender that he deeply cared about, he was so confused about his sexuality because he was assaulted. I mean, he was sexually abused. We later learned that he's truly afraid to be honest with his parents. And when he finally comes clean with his parents, we learned that his father was also assaulted in the Catholic Church. So as you start to pile on all of these experiences, I want you to imagine we all have these traumas and experience. It may not be as significant as what happened in this show, but it's one of the reasons why we oftentimes make poor choices. In this particular case, his choice was going back to the stalker or going back to the abuser, even though he was genuinely loved by the transgender woman. He was genuinely loved by the other woman in his life. And his parents deeply loved him, but it wasn't enough because of all these wounds. And when the stalker stops, like when he finally puts the halt to the stalker, he goes to the police and she cuts off all communication. He finds himself jonesing for it because that need for significance, and we all experience this need for significance, to feel important to another human being or to others. And we also want that deep love and connection, that because she made him feel important through this experience, he goes back to her and he goes back to the abuser. And I'm just giving you the Cliff Note version of the show. The line that struck me the most, and by the way, he bares his soul on when he's doing a comedy set, he bares his soul. It gets videotaped and it goes viral, and everybody applauds his vulnerability. Everybody applauds his vulnerability. See, the scary thing about being vulnerable today is we can be judged for our vulnerability, we can be criticized for our vulnerability, or people can use our vulnerability against us. In a few minutes, I'm going to be very vulnerable with you all. I'm going to share with you, not that I have anything similar in the extent of abuse that he experienced, but I experienced deep wounds and traumas. I'm afraid to share this because I've had many of you in the past use it against me, criticize me, judge me. And yet I think when we face our fears, when we actually, I think Brene Brown says it best, the most courageous thing you can do is be vulnerable. So I'm going to share with you some of my fears and insecurities. Doesn't necessarily, make me a weak or insecure person. It's just we all have it. And my hope is by demonstrating this to everyone, Maybe we can all step into our power, be vulnerable to those people we love, just like when he went to his parents to express the deep shame he experienced when he was sexually molested abused by a colleague. And then he even went back for more, because that's how fucked up traumas can treat us. And by the way, how this relates to the dating and relating marketplace is we all come at it with some wounds, and our behaviors can be so erratic, so confusing, so, mixed signals. We are not alone in all of this. And the line that struck me the most, he said, the thing I love the most in this world is how much I hate myself. That brings me to tears, to think that his thing that he loved the most was how much he hated himself. And this is a true story. Now, I know there's some controversy over this show regarding the stalker, because there's a real life person. He's a real life person. There's a lot of controversy. Whether it's true or not, the controversy, this show, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because there are so many deep lessons, and it is rather intense. And I am such an advocate for self-love. And so one of the loving things we can do for ourselves is to recognize that we are not alone. I related to this story because I've made so many poor choices in my life. And when I get to the root, I've been deeply wounded, and I've experienced fear on so many levels. The fear of not being liked, the fear of not being loved, the fear, the need to be significant to people. Some of you know my backstory. I've shared this before, but when I was in my mother's womb, she had many miscarriages and a stillborn. So she was in a heightened state of anxiety while I was in the womb. And babies and fetuses experience what's going on in the exterior world. And so my mother unintentionally, through her own anxiety, literally was imprinted in my DNA, because she was experiencing so much anxiety and fear over losing the child. And so what happened when I was a baby? I was a very rambunctious baby. I was ADD, ADHD. And my mother and father didn't know how to handle it. My father would hit me at times. And my mother, because she didn't know how to handle me, I use the term handle, when we were at family functions and picnics with lots of group of people, she put me in a crib and I saw a videotape of this, and all the kids are playing, and I'm holding on to the bars of the crib, crying. Not crying, like in an ADHD way. I mean, I saw a videotape of where I'm in tears because I'm left out in the world. I am left out. So I have this feeling of being left out, this need for significance, and yet I couldn't express myself in the world. And as I grow up, my mother unintentionally stonewalled myself and my siblings and my father whenever she was mad. And so I believe that I was the one that caused this harm as a 4-year-old, as a 7-year-old, as a 12-year-old, even as an adult. It was still very hard for me to navigate my mother's her wound was triggering, her wound was triggering her to be stonewalling whenever she was mad or upset with one of us, and we all paid the price for it. And as I shared before, I'm of the baby boom generation. Our generation, I mean, I know many of my male friends, our fathers used to beat the shit out of us. And what that represents is you're not allowed to be yourself, to be your authentic self. We had to learn to conform. How many of us have experienced the same thing? And then as I became an adult, I was in that narrative of go to college, get a job, meet a girl, get married, buy a house, start a family. You're a provider, protector. And yet in my marriage, I never felt appreciated. And I was an unconscious husband, so I take ownership of that. But I have a deep wound of not feeling appreciated for my efforts. And then the market crash of 2008, where I financially got wiped out and I lost my high-end corporate job. I felt like when it comes to dating, mating, relating, and I so deeply want to be companionship, connection, physical intimacy, and yet I have a fear that I won't be able to support someone because we're so indoctrinated in this rhetoric that a man's worth is only based on his capacity to bring in resources. And if he's not strong enough in that capacity, he's a weak man. And this is the narrative we men hear. And ladies, you hear a narrative all based on objectification. We objectify women. It's all about plastic surgery and the next Instagram post you're going to have and what you look like. And for men, it's what you bring to the table. And do you realize that all of these scripts can carry so much negative weight on a human being? As I shared earlier, I grew up with all of this anxiety that I have, and my default is an anxious attachment style. I'm going to say I'm insecure. I'd like to think I've done so much personal development, self-help, and spiritual work that I have a handle on it, but I'm aware of this. And because of that, many of you watch the video on avoidant attachments. We tend to attract our opposite. If you're an anxious, we attract an avoidant. If you're an avoidant, you attract an anxious person. And guess what? Being in midlife, being single, can I just own it fucking sucks? I know many people who genuinely feel lonely. It sucks being by yourself. Of course, we can encourage you, go out and make friends and go do the things you love. It's so easy to tell other people what to do. As a society, we shame people for having fear. We shame people for expressing their vulnerabilities. We criticize, we judge them. And I say we, because I am guilty of doing this as well. And if you can see that there's some, angst in my tone and my voice, is because it saddens me how many people are deeply hurting, and yet there's so little compassion. And so I just want you to know that I know that pain intimately. If any of this resonated with you, first off, if it resonated with you, just say right now, Jonathan, what you just shared resonated with me on some level. I understand if you're watching my channel, there's a good chance you're hurting to some degree. You want to learn more. You want to be better. You want to improve. You want to grow beyond your limitations. Folks, I'm a complex man. Which is okay, let me just say this. I so dislike gender stereotypes and gender expectations. I literally, it actually angst me. It gives me so much angst because at the core, whether you're a man or woman, we are all human beings and with a soul and with a pain inside of us that is not based on a penis or vagina. This is why I'm an advocate for conscious dating instead of traditional or insecure ways of dating. But let me say this. Even though I was vulnerable with you all, even though I shared with you some of my angst, I know I'm a good person. I've been on a journey to heal and to love myself. And despite my former behaviors, I endeavor to make good choices, which I know will lead me to a more fulfilling, loving, happy life. My coaching is here to encourage self-love, healing, owning your sovereignty. And just like myself, I am reinventing my identity. Every day I reinvent my identity, and I invite you all to do the same for yourself, because I want everyone to know we don't have to be train wrecks like the baby reindeer. And I can relate because I've been a train wreck. I don't believe I'm that today. Some people might think that. Some people might have heard everything I just shared and judge me, criticize me. And some of you might use it against me. I wouldn't be surprised. But I just want you to recognize this. Was it Jesus who said, "He who without sin cast the first stone"? Please look in the mirror before you ever judge another human being's experience. And just like in Baby Reindeer, we can judge all of that. But when we learn the deep truth of why he experienced what he did, my hope is we have compassion and empathy for every human being on the planet. I am an advocate for that. And folks, sometimes I'm a righteous SOB. Sometimes I speak with such righteous authority. But just know, I'm just scratching the ant's belly and this understanding of this thing called life, understanding empathy and compassion. Sometimes I'm on a soapbox just because I like to stir the pot. I am such an advocate for human beings doing personal development, self-help, and spiritual work, because guess what the byproduct and the benefit of it is? We can actually experience better relationships in our lives, both in our romantic and our interpersonal lives. And the lessons learned from this show, which are many, I hope you all take away from it an understanding that we are all quite similar to one another in some way, shape, or form. Is this sinking in? Is this resonating with you? Please let me know if it is. Post a comment below. I'd like to hear your thoughts. As always, if you find value in my videos, please hit that like button. Please share this video. Please subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you can be notified of new videos. And also, if you want to connect with me, I'm actually a good coach, okay? I'm actually a great coach. If you want to connect with me, right there's a link to schedule a discovery call, or there's links below. I promise you, if you want some support and help in your life, I can actually make a difference. My clients, I get calls every week. Jonathan, I met a great guy. Jonathan, I met a great guy. Jonathan, I met a great guy. And let me just tell you this, I am your big brother when I'm working with you. I support you with a lot of love and care and kindness, even though occasionally I can be a tough SOB as well. So again, check out all the links below. Join my group called Midlife Love Mastery. Get the books I recommend. Get my dating vows. Follow me on Instagram. The links below. All right. Those who know my live format, if you have a question, and if you want to ask me a personal question, that's fine too. Write the word question or post the question thereafter. Or you can purchase a super sticker, super chat, or super chat. Yeah. All the money, there's a little $sign in the chat box. All the monies from the super sticker, super chat goes to a scholarship fund in the name of my son, Connor Asley. That's a picture of him with his brother right there. He's my son who passed away almost 6 years ago. In his honor, we donate to causes like the Hoffman Process, Insight Institute, and scholarships to coaching as well. And also, if you want to join me live, there's a link right there I just posted in the chat box. If you want to connect with me directly right now, we can do that as well. All right. Barbara wants to share with us what you just said resonated with me. Please try to lower your voice and volume. Stop yelling. I can't help myself. Okay. I'm trying. Folks, I'm just excited. So turn down the volume on your computer or phone. Jeannie says, I asked a male friend why he was horn dogging, and he just says he wants new meat. It's an addiction, ladies. To some men, yes, it is an addiction. To some men, that need for variety. Remember, I talked about the 6 basic human needs. That need for variety is what stimulates. This is a high need for him, and that possibly is one of the reasons why he's had multiple sexual partners, okay? Norma says, Jonathan, you are normal. If there is such a thing, thank you for sharing. I appreciate everybody for acknowledging that. That really means a lot to me. Let's see. Let's keep going here. Stephanie says, oh my God, Jonathan, you're so precious. Oh, thank you. Owning your shit. I have a lot of shit I've got to own. Ellen says, I appreciate what you share. Mystical Tarot says it resonates. We're getting a lot of resonance here. Happy to hear that. Let's see if there's any other questions listed. All right, if you have, okay, Annika was one of the first to write a question. Jonathan, isn't this about trauma bond? I was in a trauma bonded relationship, and that is a pattern because I experienced sexual abuse. You know, I apologize for not actually articulating that. Trauma bonding, you know, the way I view trauma bonding is a, you know, this show is a perfect example. 2 people in emotional trauma bonding with one another. I also think some people bond through their shared experience of trauma. So what I mean to say is, when two people in the dating, mating, and relating realm get on the phone and they share their traumatic, mostly it's their marriage, okay? When two people share their traumatic, how they perceive the marriage as traumatic, they often bond in that shared experience. So in the case of baby reindeer, these were two people that were traumatized, and they bonded through that, but they weren't bonding through the sharing of the same experience, okay? But I believe another form of trauma bonding is when two people are sharing their trauma and then they're bonding through the shared experience. So I believe that happens in the dating, mating, and relating marketplace a significant percentage of the time. So yes, I do believe that. All right, let's keep going here. Do you have a question? Okay. Pamela says, right, Jay. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Ellen says, I appreciate your wisdom. Thank you so much. Somebody says you're not yelling. Okay. I love Jonathan's loud Leo energy. This is real life we're dealing with. Let's get excited, people. Yeah, you know what? I'm passionate about what I do because I think the loud voice represents like the megaphone, like the way a preacher gets up and is yelling, to their congregation, like I feel like it's a wake up call for people. So yes, but I appreciate everyone. Rose wants to let everyone know, have you read the book called Shadow Work? Journal by Kylie Shen. Oh, I'll butcher the name. I just purchased the other day. No, I'm not familiar with that. I am familiar with Debbie Ford's work in the area of shadow work. Actually, her sister is a friend of mine. We've had her on the channel, Ariel Ford. So I am familiar with the shadow work. The way I look at it is, listen, I can equally have a dark side, but I don't act upon it. But I've had dark thoughts. I'm not proud of it, but I've had dark thoughts. I have deep wounds and pain. Oftentimes those who aren't blessed. I've been blessed to have some really significant, amazing people in my life support me on my journey. I am very blessed in that capacity. So not everyone is blessed, but if you're watching this right now, I'm encouraging you all to do personal development, self-help, spiritual work, therapy, somatic therapy, anything to help you heal from your past, no matter how big or small it is. We all have wounds in our childhood and our adult experiences. And divorce is one of the most traumatic experiences that we happen to experience in midlife. Okay. Annika's in the house. So if a guy openly talks about his trauma in the beginning, is this vulnerability or is it a red flag? That is what is so confusing to me. This person used trauma to manipulate emotionally. I think people are catching on to the fact that what might be vulnerability is a manipulation tool. This is where you almost have to be a detective and read a person's energy. But some people can be very sophisticated. So I'm not unaware that there are manipulative people out there. I still tend to think that it is a small percentage of the population. It's more rare that you'll get, it might, by the way, why does it seem like everybody has dated the same narcissist right out there? I'm just being tongue in cheek. I think there are a lot more insecure, wounded people out in the dating marketplace, men and women alike. And this is where radical honesty, authenticity, transparency, vulnerability, this is about also having healthy boundaries in your life. So recognize if you spoke to a man that expressed deep trauma, the follow-up question is, how have you healed from this? What healing work have you done and what healing work are you doing? And really try to understand their healing work before you give your heart to somebody who is deeply traumatized. Okay? All right, Annika, thank you for that question. Andrea's in the house. My heart was broken deeply in love. How can I confidently go back into the dating world? In my mind, I'm hoping he'll come back and when he's ready, he's who I want to be with. Well, until you cut that cord, it is not fair to any man out there that you be out in the dating marketplace if you haven't cut that emotional cord. That's incumbent upon you. How to do it? Personal development, self-help, spiritual work, therapy, somatic therapy. Start doing some deep inner healing. Spend an hour a day on your healing for the next 3 to 6 months, because it's not fair to be out in the dating marketplace. I don't think you said, how can I confidently go back out there? Well, go out there when you've cut the cord. It's not fair to other people if you're still wanting somebody back. That doesn't mean you can't be in appreciation of the other person. It doesn't mean you can't be grateful for the learning lessons. But again, I would do a tremendous amount of healing work and feel complete before you put yourself out in the dating marketplace. So the answer is, how can I go back out there carefully? Do the inner work. Personal development, self-help, spiritual work. Get a therapist. Start working. By the way, everybody, I think we should have a therapist every day of our life, not once a week. I truly believe that. Monday through Friday, every day. Let's see, 5 out of 6, 7 days, 5 out of 6, 5 out of 7 days a week. We should all have a really good therapist in our life. Yeah, that costs a shitload of money, but here's the thing. Your life depends on it. Buy less shoes, buy less makeup, work on yourself. Buy less fancy clothes and work on yourself. That has more value. Okay? Andrea says, thank you. You're very welcome. If anyone wants to join the hot seat, there's a link, hot seat. Oops. Hot seat. And we can go on live. Okay, SJ. How do you be in a relationship with a 59-year-old mama's boy, been in a relationship for 5 months? Well, you're already in it. So you're not asking a really valid question. How do you be in a relationship? You're already in the relationship. How do you ask for your needs to be met? How do you make requests? You know, if somebody is truly a mama's boy, then have they healed their childhood wounds and adult traumas to be in a relationship? The real question is, SJ, why do you want to be in a relationship with a mama's boy? But Jonathan, I love him. This baby reindeer is a perfect example of how your childhood wound traumas has you attached to a person that is not, sounds like they're not right for you. I invite you to do the inner work. I invite you to do the inner work. Poultry says, once we realize our patterns, to what extent can we really change them? Okay. Your wounds and traumas are there. It's just how much of a charge do they have in your life? And through personal development, self-help, and spiritual work and therapy, we can actually have less of a charge. I'm aware of my insecurities and flaws. I don't give them a lot of weight. How do I do that? Through meditation, through somatic therapy, through talk therapy. It requires work. Many human beings are rather lazy. You just want it spoon-fed. I work on myself every day, easily an hour a day I spent on improving, growing, healing past my wounds. I'm a big advocate for, by the way, Tony Robbins once called it an hour of power. I invite everybody. But Jonathan, I don't have the time. But Jonathan, I just don't have the resources. Fine. By the way, this is an imperative for your well-being. Put aside all the other garbage in your life that is really just designed to create false sense of significance. The most significant person in your life is yourself. The most important, the quality of your life is based on the quality of your relationships, starting with the relationship with yourself. This is why I'm tired of the dating rhetoric all based on how a man is supposed to be. Show up in your, by the way, each individual, show up in your sovereignty, invest in yourself. That matters more than whether or not a guy calls and pays for a date. Okay? Because look at how many dysfunctional relationships exist. It doesn't matter if a guy planned and paid for a date. What matters most is, are two people an emotional grown up together? And we've got a lot of emotional children out in the dating marketplace, myself and yourself included. And I know you take offense to that because every fucking human being thinks they're the exception and not the rule. When you can stand up and say, I'm fucked up and I'm okay and I'm working on myself, that is true power. And when I use the term fucked up, I just mean it in a loving way. We all have shit. It's just a spectrum. I was helped with doing self-help, such as changing habits, read some books, watch YouTube videos. Patterns are there for safety. Our brains predict safety in regular patterns. Yeah, she makes a good point. We become so accustomed that that's how we feel safe. But are you happy? If you want to grow past it, then do the work. And just like Annika says, self-love rules. Self-love means self-worth, self-confidence, self-esteem, self-reliance, self-discipline. SJ's back in the house. How do I get rid of the relationship? I already said, let's just be friends, since he really doesn't have time for a relationship. I have needs not being met. Stop seeing him. I mean, is that really, like, really, SJ? Do you not realize you have the power to just say no? You don't have to see him anymore. You can block him on your phone. If you said, let's just be friends, and you want to end the relationship, if he doesn't respect your boundary, then just cut him out of your life. But I'm sorry, I'm being tough on you. I get it's hard when you're attached to a person. But it's time to get so fucking angry and to say, I am going to make a change in my life. Get angry for your sovereignty, not holding out for someone who's not going to meet your needs. Power Chi says, let your I'm fucked up flag fly. Way to go. Gigi says, I'm going to need sedation after this video. Damn, how much caffeine have you had today? I haven't had caffeine for 8 hours. You know, I'm a pretty intense person to date. I could be exhausting. I am fascinated with human behavior. I'm fascinated with human choices. I am fascinated with my own psyche. I am so blessed that the universe has given me time in my life that I can explore the nuances and the nooks and crannies of my emotional well-being. I think we are on a precipice of change in our world. And I hope the younger generation is in that space of really understanding that our true power is through our emotions. We are powerful human beings. And when we actually learn to navigate our emotions from an empowered place, we are unstoppable on so many different levels. And so I'm devoted, I am committed to learning as much about myself and sharing with everybody. I feel like I said this to my coach the other day. I'm just an hour ahead of everyone. Like, I learned something, I share it. I learned something, I share it. I learned something, I share it. I'm just an hour ahead of most of you. I am still scratching the surface of this thing called life and trying to understand it. You know, when my son passed away, I realized how fucking ridiculous human beings operate in the world. It saddens me. And his passing broke me open to understanding that the absurdity is all the society constructs and perceptions and expectations, because every individual is on some level suffering. I'm not good enough. I'm not lovable. I'm not likable to some degree in our core. And all we want in human interaction is to be loved by another human being. By the way, I want to thank Margot for the $4 super sticker. By the way, I would love it. Our goal tonight is $50. I would love it if we could hit a $50 goal before I wrap up tonight. If I provided you value right now, I would be so grateful if you donate to the Connor Asley Scholarship Fund, because I'd love to give away some money tomorrow morning or throughout the next few weeks. So I'm sharing all of this with you, my own personal experiences, because just like in Baby Reindeer, there was a moment where he's up on stage and he's radically vulnerable with everybody, radically vulnerable. Vulnerability is one of the most honest things we can do as humans, to express our fears, to not let our fears get the best of us, but to share it with other people. And I know this goes against all the attraction rules and the red pill rules and, demonstrates weakness. I've been so harshly judged by many of you. I've been criticized. I've been judged. I've had it used against me, my vulnerability. And sometimes it hurts deeply. I'll be candid with you. It saddens me sometimes, the attacks people can generate on others. It saddens me because isn't compassion one of the most important virtues in life? Compassion and generosity and understanding and empathy. Most humans live in a silo of their own world. And yet one of the most important needs is to contribute. So why not contribute love? Why not contribute empathy? Why not contribute compassion? And I am guilty of being myopic, folks. I am so guilty of sometimes being in my own shit. The people who know me, I said earlier, I'm not the easiest person to date, because anyone who dates me is going to recognize that I love talking about this stuff. But to me, that's more important than how's your day going? Did you have a good day? I hope you had a good day. I love the nooks and crannies of life. I hate small talk. I want to talk about atoms, death, aliens, sex, magic, the faraway galaxies, fear, death. What keeps you up at night? I like people with a twisted mind. I don't want to know what's up. Anyway. Rose Lindbergh says, I don't know if this is coincidence or not, but I was talking about this subject today at work, and sometimes I feel like I have too much baggage for a relationship. By the way, everybody has fucking baggage. We hide the baggage, and guess what happens? It comes out later, and then you're fucked because you're attached to a person, but you're resenting them at the same time because you bury all of this baggage. I think we should lean. By the way, I think our first conversations once you meet somebody is just share your fears. I think that's more real than the facade people put up. What did Chris Rock say? People show up as the ambassador of their best selves. Anyway, that's my 2 cents there. Annika's back in the house. Has plant-based medicine helped you? Plant medicine helped you with healing trauma? It rewires the brain. Folks, many of you know I'm an advocate for plant medicine, whether it's psilocybin or the other varieties within that. Many people have heard of ayahuasca. For me, it's a spiritual experience to connect with my divine self. I certainly feel as though it helped me after my son passed away. I have witnessed so many people heal deep wounds and traumas using plant medicine, particularly when they do it in a curated container with a therapist or a coach or a really good guide. Some people do use it for recreational purposes. I've had some recreational uses as well, but I'm a big believer in plant medicine opens up portals, but done under the right conditions, and not for everybody. Some people have to ease into it, but I also know ketamine therapy is being widely used. I know MDMA is used for autistic children. So there are a variety of different psychedelic medicines that can actually make significant differences in people's lives. So thank you for asking that question. Tammy wants to know, can we grow and self-accepting to the point of outgrowing all relationships? one of the things that happened at the Hoffman process, a lot of people go back and want to ask for a divorce. They talk extensively about not doing radical life changes. When we grow as individuals, we find that we are less attracted to mundane. We are less attracted to wounded people. I mean, here in the United States, many human beings are suckling on the victim of victim consciousness. And as you begin to do inner work, you recognize that you are responsible for your experiences, and you just get tired or lack patience or empathy. Well, you lack the desire to be with unconscious people. So yes, that does occur. Many of you ask, why are you still single? Because believe it or not, you women all think you're evolved and conscious. You are just as fucking delusional as men. Many of you, not all of you. But finding that right fit is not easy. It's not for the faint of heart. So I want to address SJ because she says, unloading your baggage is too heavy across to carry in our daily lives. Write it all out. Mourn it and truly don't look back. I mean, that could be a repression technique, possibly. I mean, that could be. I don't believe writing it out just heals it. But I also believe being aware of your weaknesses is actually a strength when you can share that with somebody that's a trusted person. Stephanie says, I love your passion and intensity. I'm hoping that my next life partner, my next of my many life partners in these many gazillion lifetimes I'm going to experience, appreciates who I am today. Mystic says, let Leos dance. I'm a Leo. I like to dance. Oh, Julie says, my cat heard this video and she's learning on the pillow or leaning on the pillow and listening. Thank you so much. Hey, I want to thank Han for the $10 super sticker. That means we have 14. That means we are $36 away from our goal. Folks, $50. I'd love to get some more love tonight. Norma's in the house. What if a person thinks your vulnerability is too much information, as you mentioned, Jonathan? You have been judged by others with your truth. I don't want sympathy or judgment. By the way, if it's too much for them, that just means there's a misalignment. I am capable of pretty much handling a woman's vulnerability. I'm looking for a woman who can meet me and match me. But by the way, 99 out of 100 women, it might be too much for them. I'm not looking to date every woman. I'm looking to date or be in a relationship with a woman who can meet me at my watermark. Okay, Marianne is in the house. What do you do if someone is putting on a mask so they can be more attractive to you? And then when they can't keep the facade, it's too late. How do you discern that? By the way, through radical honesty, vulnerability, authenticity, right from the get-go, ask those tougher questions, right? By the way, I actually had a conversation with a woman today through a dating app, Bumble. And I said, I said to her, I'm going to go for the jugular. I'm going to ask you some tough questions. How do you feel about that? And she said, fine. And I went I went into the middle of the book. I didn't start with the easy one. I went for the hard one. And she was totally on board for that. I have another female friend, same thing. She lives actually in the East Coast. We connected through social media, but I'm like, we've talked about our nitty gritty shit. By the way, when you're unafraid, it only turns off a person who just can't meet you. I'm not worried about the person who can't meet me because I'm not going to invest time with them. And listen, if I'm shooting myself in the foot, so be it, because this is who I am. I am unapologetic about being real. Folks, isn't this what this is all fucking about? Being your real, authentic self? You're getting the unabashed, unabridged version of me. It may be too much for some of you. And by the way, I'm not this all day long. I like to go out and have fun. I like to joke. I like to socialize. I love to have sex. I love a lot of different things. This is just one facet of the many facets. And I'm inviting you to embrace this within yourself, because the real you is really what this is all about. being your authentic self. If we have to hide, we will pay the price later on down the road. And oftentimes our wounds is what sabotage other relationships. Hey, Annika just gave us a $10 super sticker. That means our goal now is 26 more dollars. Love it. Thank you so much. Power of Chi says we humans need each other in relationship. It's a part of our being. Amen. Finding the right person takes time and work. I'm not settling anymore. As I work on myself, I find less tolerance for bad behavior. I just set better boundaries. Boundaries is what's okay, is what's not okay for me. Marianne wants to share with everybody the highest vibration is authenticity, even higher than love. Wow. I think in the, folks, I'm going to share with you that the ending of the relationship with Marie hurt deeply. Even though it's been, let's see, we're May, June, July. So it was 10 months ago. I can't believe it's been 10 months. That ending hurt deeply, if I'm being really honest with you all. While I cognitively recognize that we were not a fit for each other and we had a very conscious uncoupling, and I have a great deal of respect the way she navigated the experience and the way she was honest, to the extent that she could be honest with me, I feel as though she was genuinely honest and sincere. This relationship didn't work for her. That fucking hurts, okay? When somebody says, I don't want to be with you, that fucking hurts. Doesn't matter if it's the right move or not, it still fucking hurts. And so I've been working on myself these past 10 months in a lot of variety of different ways. And the one thing I refuse to be going forward is unapologetically myself. Now, folks, I don't vomit this the way I do in this video. I've got 1 hour to get 5 years worth of information out. Okay. I have 1 hour to get a 5 years worth of information out. So you're getting a lot of it at a very rapid pace. That's not how I operate in my daily life. I'm just doing it all in a curated fashion because I have an hour to share all this with you. But how many of you have experienced heartbreak? Right in the chat box or in the, I've experienced heartbreak. It fucking hurt. You can say it hurts, exclamation point. It fucking hurts. It sucks. Please, everybody, share your truth right now. If you've been in a relationship that didn't work out and if it hurt, own it. Go into your bedroom later after this video is over and beat the crap out of a pillow and say it fucking sucked. I recognize, and I am in such gratitude for the experience at the same time, because I wouldn't have grown through this experience if I didn't have the experience. Pain is how we grow. Do you know how a sword is made? You take whatever material, iron, steel, whatever it's used. I believe it's steel. You put it in heat and you pound it, and then you put it in water. You then put it in water, cool it off, and then you polish it, and then you do it again and again and again. That's the same with our emotional well-being. Heartbreak fucking sucks. The work to heal is hard. But what comes out at the other end is a beautiful you. I am so much more of a fucking fabulous human being than I was a month ago, 10 months ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 20 years ago. 20 years ago, I was a really unconscious human being. I was a real prick back then. I have the layers that have been peeled over the years. And I'm sharing all this with you because I know I'm not alone. Can you relate? Let me know. If you did, hit that like button, by the way. Brown Kinetic says, patterning the mind for success is so helpful. Living Large says, untold heartbreak, betrayal, duped, used, abandoned. Yes, it hurt, but I worked through it. Miss Moon says, I'm still very hurt from a breakup over text. It's been 3 months. I want to see him, but scared of more rejection. Supposed to meet for closure, but didn't set up a date. You know, ask yourself, what are you hoping to accomplish? If you're hoping to accomplish him to say, oh my God, I made such a bad choice, I want you back, that's fantasy thinking. Ask yourself, why do you need, what type of closure do you need from him? Ask yourself, what type of what do you need to hear from him for you to feel better? And recognize he may not give you what you need, because you have everything within yourself. You have every power within yourself to heal. He's not going to heal you. You are going to heal you. By the way, that's my book, What the Heck is Self-Love Anyway? A Journey of Personal Development, Self-Help, and Spiritual Work. Let's keep going. Marianne says, welcome to awareness. Exactly. All the people I meet on dating sites are imposters using someone else's photos. See, that's a limiting belief. Not everyone I've met. Oh my God, I've met so many beautiful, wonderful people. It is just beyond amazing. So why are you meeting all the fakes and I'm not? Why is that? Because you just said all the people I meet. Then there might be something that you're not doing. And by the way, this is where coach can make a difference in your life. Oh, Miss Moon says, I want to look him in the eyes, not discard over text. I want to see his hurt too. Well, then why do you need to see his hurt? What, I mean, that sounds like vindication to me. Like it's important I see him in pain. He can't give you closure. Only you can give yourself closure. Does anyone have a personal question of me? I'm more than willing to share a little bit more. By the way, if this is resonating with you, please hit that like button. Oh, God, Universe, Spirit, everyone who's watching right now, God, Universe, Spirit, known as Gus. I invite in for everyone and myself a juicy, delicious, healthy, happy relationship where the communication between each other is so off the charts. It feels like every time you speak, you're speaking to your best friend and you laugh incessantly in this amazing relationship. The chemistry is off the charts. The physical attraction. You want to rip each other's clothes off the minute you meet because, God damn it, that person is fucking hot. And your lifestyles are so easily compatible that it goes without any friction. And you share the same values. And you choose to build the deep roots of trust through social activities, hobbies, mutual interests, spending time with family and friends, traveling together, teamwork, building skills, both in your personal and your professional life, intimacy, both physical and emotional intimacy, where you're fucking each other's brains out on a regular basis. God, Universe, Spirit, I invite that in for everyone who's watching this video and myself, if that is what you wish and desire. Can I get an amen? Brown Kanita says, dating in LA is different. She doesn't live there. I live in a small city. Again, that's a limiting belief. If you believe that, see, I don't subscribe to that belief. I know some of the most amazing women who live in Los Angeles. And if you're telling me otherwise, I'm going to say wrong. I know amazing, beautiful people in Los Angeles. I know amazing, beautiful people in New York. I know amazing, beautiful people in every city, in every nook and cranny on this planet. See, that's my belief system. If your belief is there are no good people out there, guess what? You'll experience that. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry that that's your experience. Because I believe that there are wonderful human beings everywhere on the fucking planet. And to say otherwise is an ignorant statement. I'm sorry, I'm going to insult you. It's ignorance to say that. There are beautiful people in Los Angeles, and I'm making a stand and I defend that there are beautiful people, both men and women alike in Los Angeles. And anyone who says otherwise or any other part of the world, is ignorance, in my opinion. Okay? I'm sorry if I've insulted you, but I'm being very direct here because there are beautiful people everywhere. We are all beautiful human beings. We are all wonderful human beings. We're just like baby reindeer, a lot of people who are hurting, but that doesn't make them any less valuable as a human being. And I make a stand for every human being because most likely there are a lot of people out there that are hurt. Is this sinking in? Is this resonating? Please let me know if it is. Post a comment below. I'd like to hear your thoughts. As always, if you find value in this video, please hit that like button. Please share this video. Please subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you can be notified of new videos. And if you want to connect with me directly, check out the links below to schedule a discovery call, to join my group called Midlife Love Mastery, to get the books I recommend, to follow me on Instagram, to join my mailing list, all listed below. And I'm going to wrap up this video as I always do. First off, giving myself a big, gigantic Jonathan Barrog of self-love. I'm going to reach into the camera and give you a hug of love if that's okay. I'm going to ask you to turn to someone, a pet, teddy bear, a pillow, and give it or them a hug of love because hugs are a great source of love. And let's face it, we could all use more love in our lives. I want to thank Mystic Tarot Card, Stephanie, Lulu, Tammy, Brown Canetta. I apologize for being direct there. Power of Chi, Paltry Flowers, Annika, everyone who donated, Elena, Miss Moon, Astrid, Life with Sharon B, Barbara, Marianne, Sunny Pie, everybody, thank you so much for the love. Thank you. You're beautiful. Yes, every one of you are beautiful. Every man and woman out there in the world, we all have value. And yet, sadly, many of us are hurting, and that's okay too. Because that's what this journey is about, to heal and to love oneself. Everyone, you take care. Have a wonderful evening. Be well. Bye now.